By this time, I am trusting that you guys already know what are the 12 principles of animation. In this class, I would like to go a little in deep and explore what are the 12 principles of animation and how we should really use them in our daily life as animators. So we have to remember that these 12 principles of animations, they were gathered back in the 60s by Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston in The Illusion of Life, as a way to, to explain to the world, to the public, and I guess that to start the school of animation about that art that was new back at that time, and it was something kind of like magic. How is this happening? How do you guys make this work? Well, this is how. So these 12 principles are basically the results of the first attempts of doing animation. They were like just quick and easy tricks to follow for all the 2D animators, no matter what the skill set or the experience that they had. They was just like a first aid kit of techniques in order to give life to the drawing. If you never work in 2D animation, you should know that doing a decent 2D animation is very, very difficult. It requires lots of experience, lots of a good skill set and craft, and be very, very talented. And I'm only just talking about doing something that is functional. I'm not even talking about the level of Mil Kahl or Sergio Pablos, where you need something extra beyond that. So 2D animation had a lot of difficult things to do, like just doing like any kind of turn, not even 180 or 360, any kind of turn, subtle kind of movements, all the tiny little details that we may have in our face, the perspective changes, all the camera effects, for example, plus all the secondaries that we may have, like the hair effects, the clothing and all that. Those are very tricky things that are limited definitely by the craft or by the talent or the skill sets of the animator itself. So these 12 principles were at least the 12 least or more easy things to do that will help anyone to get good results in the animation, to make sure that whatever you're drawing seems to be alive. But if we look at them today, how these 12 principles have evolved through the years, today in this living era of CG animation times, we can see that today the 12 principles of animations, the only thing that they have in common is just that they are just principles. They are just the very first laws that were created around these back then growing arts. There are not any particular tips or any particular techniques or workflow. They are actually all of that together. Like for example, straight ahead and squash and stretch, they don't have nothing in common. A straight ahead is a workflow, or is a system of work, and squash and stretch is an artistic technique that we apply. So we have to consider that, and we have to look at these principles, to look at them as just that, principles, the very first laws of the very first tips and tricks that we found back then. So in this course, my intention here is that first we start understanding that this is just the first tips that we have in animation. There are no particular rules or tips or steps that we have to follow yes or yes. Along this course, we're gonna see when we have to apply these 12 principles, how, why yes, why not, and also we will add to them everything that we've been adding for, I don't know, maybe 30 years in the CG animation history. So we could say that actually today we have more than, I don't know, 50, I'm just making up a number, principles of animation. There is a lot of other things that are as useful as those principles that Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston came up with. So in this course, the goal is to get those, to know when to apply it, and to add the other new ones that we have. So what I like from you guys is now to use these 12 principles in order to read and to understand the reality, and to see how the things that surround us works. Because, you know, Frank Thomas, Ollie Johnston, and same like the 9 Old Men, they came up with those rules as a result of exploring life. That's why I call this section, or I call this class, Going Beyond and Rethinking the 12 Principles of the Animation. Because what we should aim is to get the same mindset that these 9 old men had when they came up with these 12 principles of animation, which is exploring life.